Ti ti di 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 di. Ti da 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 da. Ya, di 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 dum dum. Di di da ya ya ya. Yay. L'chaim, l'chaim v'livrocha. Welcome, folks.
L'chaim.
Oh, yeah. Continue with the mimer. So we started to give a deeper understanding. Betrothal, marriage. Betrothal, Jewish law, is a union, but not a complete union because you're not living together as opposed to marriage. Mitzvahs is not a complete union compared to the study of Torah. Mitzvahs is betrothal. And God sanctified, He betrothed us with mitzvahs. He betrothed us with mitzvahs. And we have our portion in Torah. So, and this ties into the verse. The garden, a locked garden, my sister the bride, betrothal, a locked stream, a flow, a stream, which refers to Torah. Now, so the garden, right, as we said, is the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden, you get a ray of light that encompasses the soul. Likewise, when you do a mitzvah, you get a ray of light that encompasses the soul. When you do a mitzvah, you're getting a divine hug. A divine hug. Which is an embrace. An embrace means that you are locked into me, I'm locked into you, right? As the locked garden, right? There's no one else. Actually, it's interesting. I'm using that metaphor over here, but the Rebbe doesn't use this in the mimer. And I get it because we're speaking about betrothal, and betrothal between a husband, between man and woman, there is no hug yet. A hug will only come is an act of intimacy that only comes later by the chuppah, by the marriage, by living together, which then there'll be intimacy. So based on Tanya, I'm using that because, it's an embrace. it's encompassing of a hug. As opposed to learning Torah, it's not merely a hug. There's a hug like also, but it's also metaphorically like food that's ingested. It becomes a part of you, right? And that's what marriage is. You become a part of each other and living life together. Become part of each other by living life together. Um, now, the right now, we are the Jewish people are betrothed to God. We're we're not really in the stage of marriage where your lives are intertwined in a very real way. That's what marriage is. Your life is intertwined in a real way. We're, we're not, because God is not intertwined in our lives in such a real way. When will that be? In the times of Mashiach. That's when the marriage really takes place, right? Yet, we're at a stage. Um, let me let's back up for a second. Make sure I give this over right. The mitzvah is the act. The Torah reveals what's in that act, right? So you put on your tefillin, you say the words of prayer, you give charity. All those things are actions, right? Um, that separates us by doing God's actions, His thing, from all negative things. Also, it influences us, but meaning changing us. It changes us in the moment when you're saying your prayer, changes you in the moment when you are um, giving charity. But the real inward change takes place through the this having a portion of God's Torah. As we said, because it becomes your portion, it becomes inward. You understand. So it becomes God's wisdom becomes your wisdom. His vision becomes your vision. So you now understand how the mitzvah that you're doing that leads you, and as betrothal leads you to marriage, the mitzvah you're doing leads you to the grasping it inwardly through the Torah that you study. That it becomes you. It becomes you. Again, a mitzvah is on you. It's like, but it's not in you. It's not of you. You're doing God's thing, right? When you're taking a coin and giving charity, when you're putting on the tefillin on you, you're lighting the Shabbos candles, you're eating kosher. You're doing God's thing. Wonderful. But it's not you. So you're betrothed to another. You devote, when you're gardened off from anybody else because this is your one. But but you're not living together. Marriage means your lives are intertwined, living together, right? Marriage means mhm, you know what the other person's thinking, right? Because you get them. You understand. You've internalized them, right? Oh, that's what Torah does. We internalize God and we get him. And therefore that's very revelatory, right? Wow. Okay. So this then is in the verse, Gan, the garden, is locked. The stream, right? And that refers to mitzvahs. Just just do it, just do it, do the Jewish thing, the mitzvah, right? And then there is that locked stream, that flow, right? The garden that's locked is representing, you know, separated, no trespassing. The guy gives the ring to the woman. There's no trespassing now. They're for each other, but they're not living together yet. They're not intimate yet. That's only betrothal. Marriage is that intimacy, that flow that comes. That's the flow of the stream. It's also locked, right, between them. So from the divine service of fulfilling mitzvahs, then we come to the study of Torah, especially the internal aspect of study of Torah, not the do's and the don'ts, but the deeper understanding of the divine wisdom, as we're learning here, for example, and Tanya. These two um, divine services, we need both. We need both services. Can't just You can't have, and that's the key over here. Can't just have mitzvahs, because that's just betrothal. And you can't have just Torah, because you can't be married if you don't have betrothal first. So you need both elements. Both elements are a must, right? And both need to be done because this discourse was said, both was said in honor of base year, the second day of year, which is the day that the Rebbe Marash, the fourth Lubavitcher Rebbe, Reb Shmuel, who passed away in 1860, 1883. Sorry, 1883. He was the youngest son of the Tzemach Tzedek. And so he had a famous saying, "L'chatchila riber." The world says when you have an obstacle, try to get around it, go under it, around it, you know, and if all else fails, then try to hurdle it. I say from the beginning, just hurdle all obstacles. Right? So it's his birthday. So meaning that all of these two ways of the divine service of betrothal and marriage have to be done in a way of hurdling all the obstacles to begin with, and to go from strength to strength. That we start off from the betrothal, the locked garden, and we come to marriage, the locked stream, in a manner of jumping through over all obstacles, in a manner that when because we can only hurdle all obstacles, that can't be done for us. That's an awakening from within to come to such a recognition that all obstacles are only there to be hurdled, right? To begin with, in other words, not it in other words, it's nothing but there, but for me to get above and beyond what I would be able to normally do in life. That's an awakening from above, and that causes a great awakening from above, from below, rather. Below, in other words, I have to come to that. No, no one can bring me there. No one can make, no one can get me to hurdle over life's obstacles. Only I could do that, right? I mean, you could get inspired. Well, here you need to be inspired, and by your inspiration, you then affect an awakening above. The drawing of the divine light from above through leading your life in this divine service of betrothal, marriage, mitzvahs, and study of Torah in such a manner that you will also be a recipient in return of a revelation of such a divine light that also is beyond all hurdles, metaphorically. In addition to the fact that this service needs to be with great effort, enduring, toil, because when you toil, then you find the treasure. You being, the treasure, and just like when you find a lost sign, when you find something in life, you find it kind of without awareness. Because if you had awareness and you didn't lose something, you know where it is. You know where your keys are. You didn't lose it. When you lose it, or you don't know where it is, right? Then I found my keys, right? Because you didn't have the awareness. Likewise, with the effort that you put in, you'll find things that you weren't aware that you had inside of you. Wow. And what you find will be based on how much you toil, right? The greater the treasure you'll find within you, that you, through being able to hurdle in the manner that you didn't expect that you could hurdle. And hurdle just means you just go for it, right? Wow. May it be God's will that through these words, and especially through this avodah, that we should be merit very soon to the final redemption, and it should be complete with being betrothed with His mitzvahs and having our portion in Torah in a complete mitzvahs, and then we will do all the mitzvahs before you, God, in a complete way, and the Torah will be complete as the new Torah Chadash will become from Hashem. in a manner that it will be without a blink of an eye, and this itself will be chatchila river, beyond all obstacles, uh, that will not be withheld even with the blink of an eye. Mamish, mamish, literally, literally. That we finished the mimer. Okay, whoa, that was heavy duty. Okay, good Chaydish. We'll see you soon. It's Rosh Chodesh, so it's a bit longer the davening till we come to